This is a 2-minute introduction to Cannon Hall Museum Park and Gardens, a short film charting the restoration of the Georgian mansion and its grounds. The film itself is 6 minutes long. Cannon Hall is an elegant and understated Regency-style country house in pale, sandy-coloured stone. It rises to 3 stories in the square central part of the building, with symmetrical wings, each 2 stories high on either side. Long windows are spaced at equal intervals along the front of the building. It stands within scenic grounds, comprising a series of neatly laid out formal gardens behind the house, and an expanse of grassy parkland edged with mature deciduous woodland, stretching down a gentle slope to a lake at the front. Sharon Sutton, a project manager for Barnsley Metropolitan Borough Council, talks us through the process. She is a white woman in her 40s, dressed in a green Barnsley Museum hooded fleece over a black and white abstract print blouse. She has blue-framed glasses and auburn hair to her shoulders, and addresses us from among the trimmed privet and raised flower beds of Cannon Hall's gardens. Additionally, there are vox pops from several local people. Before and after footage shows the park in need of attention pre-restoration, as well as some of the work in progress in 2019, with heavy machinery brought in to clear and reconstruct the lake. By 2022, it is home to a host of waterfowl and has a small jetty from which you can rent rowing boats or swan-shaped pedalos. In the fruit gardens, the leaning roofs of the restored glass houses gleam in the sun. In the centre of an Italianate formal garden, a small circular fish pond can be glimpsed through the ruins of a Gothic archway. The woods play host to Saxon-style huts of twigs and reeds, and woven willow dragons haunt the tree branches. A sweeping aerial view of a Georgian country house and its immaculately laid out grounds, from the formal gardens to the boating lake. Logo: Cannon Hall Museum Park and Gardens. Sharon Sutton.
Cannon Hall Museum Park and Gardens is a former Georgian mansion just outside Barnsley. It's just undergone a £3.8 million restoration, which was being funded by the lottery. It's taken 4 years to refurbish, and the project's been called Restoring the Glory, Revealing the Secret.
A Gothic stone arch overlooks a water-lilied pond. Paths track through woodland to a lakeside.
Prior to 2017, before the refurbishment took place, we had so many visitors climbing on the walls, walking across the parkland. We also had failed drainage, so everywhere was flooded, especially after wet, rainy days. So you couldn't come with a pushchair or a wheelchair and be able to access a lot of the areas that were really interesting to look at. So the council decided that what they try and do is find some funding to be able to refurbish that landscape. So they applied to the lottery funding to be able to get 2.9 million, and then that was topped up with Barnsley Council's funding, as well as EPIP funding and the Country Houses Foundation and the Friends of Cannon Hall. The first stage was for the desilting. That took about 9 months to do. Ebsford Environmental, they came and they dredged 24,000 cubic metres of silt out of the lakes, and they reformed the banks.
Cut from modern machinery to ducks on the shining water.
We did the dredging, we installed a new jetty, and we've introduced boating. We've noticed this summer, since we put the boating back on, how many families have come and enjoyed their time down by the lake.
A family drifts by on a swan-shaped pedalo.
And the next phase was the buildings, which were refurbished, and that took about a year to do. There were 2 derelict cottages and a 3rd cottage that wasn't in very good condition. So we spent a lot of time renovating 2 cottages for residential use, and the 3rd cottage has been turned into a volunteer hub.
A line of renovated brick-built terraces about a courtyard.
In the walled garden, there was a long pond and a pergola, which people really love and was really nice. However, it was built in the early 80s and it just didn't fit in with the Georgian theme. So we dug out some old maps and plans from Richard Wood's design from around 1760. And if you visit us today, you'll see quite a difference in the walled gardens. Lots of grasses and colourful planting, as well as the new Georgian pond back in its original spot. We've also refurbished the glass as well on the North Range. It is literally back to how you would have seen it 250 years ago, which is a really good achievement.
White grapes on vines in the sloping glass houses.
The next phase was to introduce parts of the landscape that haven't been seen before. We have a woodland over to the west of the parkland. It was all overgrown. We had wonderful volunteers that spent a whole winter clearing these areas to make new paths. We've created what we've called the Monster Trail. So in there we've put things for young children and families to do. So you can search for monsters, you can play on climbing frames, you can find a nest, there's a Saxon hut, there's a monster to find hiding in some trees. The ice house and Privy Midden were very interesting. As part of the research we did for the refurbishment, we found that both were connected to drainage down into the parkland. We've put some new lighting in both so the public can see them really clearly. So the really nice detail in there.
A circular brick ice house is sunk in the ground.
Down in Fairyland on the pleasure grounds, we've cleared overgrown vegetation. The pond has also seen a facelift with new planting. We're also going to introduce the fairies back into Fairyland, and in pleasure ground we've got some really good interpretation for people to enjoy as well, and there's really nice seating in there as well to relax. Originally, when the project first started, there was a lot of disruption and the public had to put up with a lot of diversions, a lot of mud. Generally, people were probably thinking they're wrecking this landscape. Here we are in 2021 at the end of the project. I'm hoping the last 12 months have convinced them that we did have a vision, that it is worth it.
I think they've done a marvellous job. We come 4 to 5 times a week, me and wife, and we meet same people over and over. It is lovely.
We've been coming here for a long time now and it is a really nice place to come. The boats down at the bottom are a big hit with the children and the gardens are really well maintained. Lots of different things to explore and it's free as well, which is always a bonus.
In 2017 we had about 390,000 visitors a year. That's gone up in the last 4 years to over 500,000. So it just goes to show how popular this park really is. Definitely successful. Definitely well worth the refurbishment, definitely worth the investment.
I think the redevelopments that they've done have worked out wonderful. They've put, structures in garden that you can walk around, the children playing with them now. You can go down at water and go on boats with your grandchildren. You can have a full day.
I would say visit Cannon Hall. It's absolutely beautiful.
Restoring the glory, revealing the secrets has been a huge honour for me. I've thoroughly enjoyed working for Museum Services. It's been a huge team effort and a big thank you to everybody, the volunteers, contractors, museum staff and the public of course for their patience. I'm hoping that people can come to Cannon Hall, they can rediscover history of 250 years ago, they can have a free day out, the family can make new memories, businesses can thrive here, that the people of Barnsley can feel proud of their heritage and that Cannon Hall in the future will still be here in another 250 years.
The aerial camera rises, pulling away to reveal the full expanse of Cannon Hall's gardens before fading to white. Logos: Barnsley Metropolitan Borough Council, Country Houses Foundation, National Lottery Communities and Heritage Funds, East Peak Innovation Partnership and Friends of Cannon Hall. Text Barnsley and your donation amount to 70085 to donate to Barnsley Museums and Heritage Trust. Audio description by Jane Ensel for VocalEyes.